All right, so if you remember, on Friday we started section 6.3, and we actually worked through quite a few examples that day. We were still just solving equations, but we had some scenarios where we would have more answers come up than we were used to. So, for example, so if I told you to solve this on the interval 0 to 2 pi, let's do for cosecant of 3x minus 1 equals 7. All right, so if I'm trying to solve this, for any equation, if we're trying to solve, we have to get the trig function by itself first. So we could add over our 1, divide by 4, and so then what would we have to do? So let me ask a couple questions. First of all, what does the 3x tell me?
3, 4.
Yeah, we will have triple the solutions. Friday when we talked about this, the first few, I graphed them and showed you what happened. When it was a 3x, that basically meant between 0 and 2 pi, we got 3 complete cycles of our graph. So we aren't going to have just the 2 solutions we're used to. It would happen 3 times, so we'd have 6 total solutions here. Then it's kind of like solving like before. If you don't like thinking about cosecant, you can do sine. That means sine is the reciprocal. So quadrants, when is sine positive? Reference angle, we are in radians. So my angle, which is 3x, could equal, in quadrant 1, pi over 6 is just pi over 6. In quadrant 2, pi over 6 is 5 pi over 6. So if my angle had just been x, I'd be done here. But it was a 3x. That means we have triple the solutions. So I need to get 6 total answers. What do we have to do to each of these to get the other answers?
By 3. Or add 2 pi.
Add 2 pi first, and then we'll divide them all by 3. So all the way around the circle is 2 pi. So pi over 6 plus 2 pi, I told you if you really get hung up, you can use a calculator. You could realize that 2 pi is the same as 12 pi over 6. So 1 pi over 6 plus 12 pi over 6 is 13 pi over 6. Plus 12 pi over 6 would be 25 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6 plus 12 pi over 6, 17 pi over 6, and 29 pi over 6. So now, if I'm trying to get x, we have to divide every one of those by 3. So you can use the calculator. You could realize that dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. So pi over 6 times 1/3 is pi over 18. 5 pi over 18. 13 pi over 18. 17 pi over 18. 25 pi over 18, and 29 pi over 18. If it had been a 2x, how many answers would I have? 4. If it had been a 4x, we would have gotten 8. So that number on your x tells you basically how many times you will have a complete cycle. We also talked about like if it were a 1/2 x, then we have to watch and make sure our answers do fall between 0 and 2 pi, because sometimes we would get answers that fell outside that interval. Is that one okay with everybody? Let's do, bless you. So what would we do here?
You can add over the 2 cosine 2 theta.
So that makes this 7 cosine 2 theta. Divide, so cosine 2 theta is 3/7. Because this is a 2 theta, I know I will have double the solutions. Quadrants, when is cosine positive? Reference angle. Do I know when cosine is 3/7? So we have to use a calculator. I told you degrees on this one, so switch into degree mode. And then we do cosine inverse of 3/7. So in quadrant 1, our angle is the same as the reference angle, so 64.62 degrees. How would you put that in quadrant 4?
360 minus.
So that gives me 295.38 degrees. Then what do we do?
Add 360.
Add 360 to each of them, so that's what 2 theta equals. So if I want theta, we have to divide every one of those by 2. So that gives me 32.31 degrees. Do you guys understand how we got those? Especially those of you that were gone. So really the trick on this one was watching for those extra solutions. Not every problem had it. Some of them were still problems we could use identity and get rid of the 2 theta or whatever. But if not, you had to watch for your double solutions. And to get that, if you're in degrees, you just add 360. If you're in radians, you add 2 pi, but do that before you divide by whatever's in front of your angle. So what I want to do, I know we've got a lot of people playing catch up. I want to give you guys practice today. That way you can ask me questions. So I just have a handout that I made for section 6.3. So Friday we had those 4 problems. You can just turn in those 4 problems and the handout tomorrow. We'll turn it all in tomorrow. That gives you a day today.